don't overextend yourself. Political science. Study why is cannabis illegal? Why can you go to Amsterdam, go to any one of hundreds of coffee shops and buy marijuana and hashish in a safe, controlled environment, but then you can go to China or Iran and you can be executed for drug offenses? Why is that? Why is Canada more liberal than America? You study the interactions between different cultures, but then even within America, you could study why is California so liberal and then Texas is so conservative. We just got back from California. It's really great, and they have dispensaries, and you can get a recommendation and things like that, and it's really good in some parts of California. LA is really liberal. San Diego is really conservative. So, why is that? You have differences within cities, differences between states, and then differences between countries. So, look at that. Try to figure that out and let me know when you've solved it. Looking forward to that. Sociology. We're coming up at a tipping point, hopefully, for a watershed event. After years and years of really fighting and struggling with this whole prohibition thing, not really getting a lot of press, now we are. We're getting a lot of press, positive results in the medical area, a lot of positive results in the hemp area, and people are just really tired of arresting people for just smoking pot. So hopefully we're going to realize that. As Ethan Nadelman says now, the wind is at our back. It had been in our face for years and years, but now it's at our back. Hopefully we're going to have a watershed event. If you can think up a watershed event, I don't even know if it's possible to think one up. Have it, hold an event, because we need to have an event or a tipping point where all of a sudden everybody says, dang, we shouldn't be arresting people for this. We should be letting patients smoke marijuana, and we should let farmers grow hemp. And we're getting there. We finally got a good president that's a little more liberal in some areas. He appointed a fairly decent drug czar who has at least said that he is going to stop using the term drug war. So that's a little good start. The DA has said that they're going to stop going into the cannabis clubs in California. If you have a state law for medical marijuana, the feds will not come in and interfere with that. So that's a positive step. We have a hemp bill, and the hemp bill has been introduced in federal court, or in Congress. So look at all these things. We have all these positive things, but why? How can we get this to change? How can we change it once and for all? And again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take a long time, but every little bit helps. Sometimes people get upset because they say, well, I'm doing all this, but they're only doing that. My opinion is everything you do is good, and we all need to do something. So, but just keep that in mind so you don't get mad at other people if you don't think they're doing as much as you think they should be. And the cannabis conundrum, I'm trying to solve this puzzle of why we can't, get along. I've been involved with the hemp industry, I've been involved with the medical groups, and with NORML. So I sort of understand, I know a lot of the people in the different groups, and nobody really gets along. It's sort of bad because the medical people don't want anything to do with just pot smokers. Hemp farmers don't want anything to do with marijuana at all. So they're a lot of times more conservative. And even within the activist groups, there's a lot of infighting in California where they're going to have an initiative on the ballot in November to legalize marijuana, which is really great. But there's 2 or 3 other groups in California. They have their own plans, and so they're all sniping against each other instead of working together. So we need to get the activists to work together. We need to get parents to come out of the closet. We need to get teachers and professionals to come out of the closet and admit, hey, I did smoke marijuana. I do smoke marijuana, and I'm not a crazy criminal. But it's hard, because parents, when you have kids, you don't. It makes it a lot more difficult when you have children. And for professionals, if you say you smoke pot, then you might get drug tested, or you could be, become a social outcast. So it's a hard thing for people to do that, but it's still a factor of all these people. And then, of course, you have people like dealers and growers who don't want marijuana to be legal because they're making money right now because it is illegal, so they're sort of pulling in the opposite direction, and everybody's pulling in the opposite, in different directions, so if we could all somehow figure out how to get everybody going, working together. And in California, right now, where they do have these dispensaries, actually growers and dealers, in effect, are part of the system now. They're making money legally by growing and selling marijuana, medical marijuana. So that's one way to pull everybody together. Music theater. I'm sure we might have some people doing music theater type of studies. And there's just, everybody knows, about Willie Nelson and Bob Marley and how, pot-friendly, hemp-friendly they are. And there's, just tons of different artists. The Dead, Fish, have been greatly influenced by marijuana. So you could study that. Why, does marijuana inspire you? What does it do for you? There have been a lot of plays and musicals written on marijuana. If anybody wants to produce a hemp musical, a woman down in Boston wrote a hemp musical, the Caitlin County Hemp Wars, and I'm sure she would love it if you guys wanted to produce that up here. I mean, it's really good, it's got some good songs in it. Or you could write your own musical, write your own play. There have been a lot of, in media a lot of times, cannabis or marijuana users are portrayed as, slackers and really bad things, but recently there's been more shows like Entourage and 6 Feet Under, and even Family Guy with Ryan. He smokes pot, but it's not a big deal. In some ways, he makes friends. He made friends with his son, I think, because he was smoking pot with him. So there's, different shows are showing more positive aspects of cannabis, so you can study that. And of course, the Weeds television show. It's a groundbreaking television show, just talking about the whole industry of growing and selling marijuana, which I think is a really cool show. So, study this, look into it, and focus some of your research into this area. Women's and gender studies. Back during the Reefer Madness days, they would exploit women, saying that if you smoke marijuana, it would turn you into a rapist, or women would just do all sorts of bad things. And so they used women to use it against us in Prohibition. But then during World War II, when they were actually growing hemp, a lot of the women worked in the hemp factories to process hemp. So, and also now, a lot of they call them marijuana moms, coming out of the closet, giving interviews, talking about how they smoke marijuana and how they would rather have a puff after work than smoke and drinking. Less calories, no hangover. So it's a lot of good positive benefits of that. So if you're studying women's studies or gender studies, work on this. Now we have economics. I'm sure if everybody has to take economics, it's really, really hard and sometimes boring. But you could do the economics of prohibition. Study what would happen if marijuana was legal, medical. The price would remain low because a lot of people would be growing it, and the pharmaceuticals can't make money on it because they can't patent cannabis. They can't keep that. They might be able to patent certain strains of it, but they can't patent the whole plant. So if medical marijuana was legal, the price of that would be relatively low, and all these other toxic chemical medicines that they advertise all the time that have 20 different side effects, that those things would be less. They would be used a lot less. Marijuana would be used more. So you can analyze the economics of medical marijuana like that. And also another thing you could do is look and see how much does it cost to arrest, convict, incarcerate, and put people on probation. The whole prison industrial complex is just huge, and we need to, if you could quantify that, if you could determine approximately how much money is spent arresting and trying, putting people on trial, then you could say, well, we could save this much money if we legalize marijuana, and that would be a good argument for legalizing it.